Hi, I'm KerryLee Smith. Today, we're going to talk about mind games. We all play mind games, but the key to mind games is understanding that there's a voice inside your head and it's not always on your side. And when you recognize that the voice is not on your side, it gives you power over the voice. They always say, or I'm sure you've heard this before, where they say, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. That suffering comes from the bad training that we've learned from our past, the dysfunctional training from our past. It's created dysfunctional mind games, dysfunctional inner voice. It beats us up when we're down. It builds us up to where you have large egos, inflated egos, and we act in ways that we wish we would not. Or it gives us false confidence to be able to think that we can or we cannot do something. Here's the deal. Maybe you have a teenager and you're having disharmony between the relationships, or you have a family member where you're having a difficult time and someone maybe lied to you. Maybe this is what the voice might say. Gosh, why do they lie to me? Can't they trust me? I raised them with respect. What's wrong with them? Are they spoiled? What are they actually doing? If they're really lying about that, what's really going on? And all of a sudden, your voice takes off down this deep and dark path. It creates dis-ease and disharmony between each other. What I want for you more than anything is to end suffering, because it's optional. That's not what relationships are about. That's not what this life is really supposed to be about. You came here to be happy. Your job is for you to figure out how to create happy, healthy relationships. Today I'm going to give you a very basic 3-step process to begin the journey of mastering the mind, so these mind games come to an end and that you start to gain confidence. You start to gain the game over the mind. So step number 1 is recognition. Recognize that you have this voice inside your head. So when you recognize this voice, part of recognition is you hear the voice, and then you realize that it'll argue all different sides. You could ask the question, why are they lying? And the voice is going to defend it. You could say, what could we do about it? It'll answer it. You could say, you could support the lie and say, I would lie too. It would defend the lying. The voice is there just to chatter away. When you really think about that and you challenge the voice with recognition, all of a sudden you start to gain the journey and begin the journey of recognizing that your voice is just there to chatter. And when you realize that the voice is just there to chatter, you begin conquering this mental mind game of internal suffering. So just step 1, recognize that there's a voice inside your head and its job is just to chatter. It's not on your side. It's also not against you. It's just there to chatter. Step 1, recognition. Step 2, opposite. Do the opposite of what the voice says. Of course, in all safety, right? So, as far as the opposite, if you're driving down the road and you've always wanted, an amazing, beautiful, convertible sports car, and the sports car is right there and you're all excited, you're like, oh, I wish I had that car. Only in my wildest dreams, I'll never make as much money, and you start going down that road with the internal mind game. 1, recognize it. 2, do the opposite. What you want to say is, I don't want the car. Move on. Don't give that voice any energy, meaning just say the opposite. No, I don't want the car anymore. Move on. And then control the voice by moving on. What is the next thing that you're going to do? And just go there. Or if, you're out to dinner and they bring you food that you ordered and it doesn't look like the way that you thought it was going to be delivered or served to you, and you start complaining and you hear the voice complaining in your mind, just say the opposite. Looks great. I'll enjoy it. And you start gaining confidence, or you start gaining control over the voice, and it starts to silence. Because when you don't give it energy, the voice silences. But we are trained to give that voice energy. And then when we give it energy, it starts to gain control over our lives. Last is breathe. When you hear the voice, what I want you to do is just give yourself permission for 3 breaths. The food is served to you. Before you allow and give the voice energy by acknowledging, yes, this isn't the food, I'm going to send it back, and you start complaining inside of your head, just give yourself 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. 1. If the food is really not right, you'll be able to be more kind to the server. 2, your voice will then be quiet and it'll be simple solution. Send it back. Or you actually might look at it and go, you know what? It's different, but actually it's better. So there's 3 simple things. Just recognize, do the opposite, and breathe. This is the beginning of the journey of mastering the mental mind game that is controlling your life and creating and causing internal suffering. And that is not what we want for you. What we want is for you to understand that you control the voice in your head, and this is the beginning steps of that journey. I'll see you next week for the next steps.